After almost 5 years of its theatrical release, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse remains still as one of the best superhero/comic book movies of all time. The film, being the 7th Spider-Man film to be released in theaters, not only succeeded all expectations and doubts people had about the film, but it succeeded as a Spider-Man film as well. With this amazing combination of 2D and 3D animation, styled with comic book panels and comic book text boxes, makes it feel like a comic book coming to life. It being an animated movie allows it to be free and express itself in ways you couldn't do in a live action one. You can see how it expresses itself in scenes like Miles and his universe's Peter's Spidey senses going off at the same time, and the wiggly lines that appear around them conveying their senses going off. You can see the thwip text next to Miles and Peter when they are swinging through the forest, referencing the sounds their webs make in the comics every time they swing, and the setting of the final fight at the end of the movie with the different universes combining into one. This movie was basically a love letter to the fans of Spider-Man. The Easter eggs and references in this movie are everything that makes Spider-Man such a beloved character, while introducing a new main character with a fresh, unique story that we haven't seen on the big screen before. In today's video, we will talk about why this movie is a perfect Spider-Man movie and arguably the best comic book movie of all time. The supporting characters in this movie were done perfectly well, each having a huge impact on Miles during his journey to becoming Spider-Man. First, Aaron, aka the Prowler. Aaron is the uncle of Miles and has a relationship with him that is very contrasting to the relationship he has with his dad. Aaron is the only person in Miles' life that appreciates and acknowledges his feelings and passions. He even takes Miles to a place where he can bring that passion out and lets him be free to spray paint his art without his dad in his ear. Aaron, being kind of a second father and in a way a role model to Miles, makes his reveal of being the Prowler much more heartbreaking.
Uncle Aaron, he's the Prowler. He tried to kill me.
The Prowler throughout the film was a terrifying and menacing villain for Miles and his world's Peter, constantly chasing and hunting down Miles every time he got the chance to. It made the character of the Prowler much more interesting and different than any other villain in the film because of the emotional connection he has with the main character. That's why when Miles figures out that his uncle is the Prowler, the man that's been hunting him down this entire time, the man who he also has a close relationship with, he is beyond shocked at what he sees. Aaron took the opposite path of what Miles took. It's why at the end when Aaron is about to die, he tells Miles how he has been letting him down and he knows he took a completely different path.
I let you down, man. I let you down.
But doesn't want Miles to go down that same exact path as well.
Best of all of us, Miles. Just keep going.
Aaron's death and encouraging last words helped Miles become the hero Brooklyn needed him to be, much like Uncle Ben was to Peter when he became Spider-Man. Next is Jefferson Davis, Miles' dad. Jefferson, unlike his brother Aaron, has a very distant relationship with his son Miles. The film begins the relationship of Miles and his dad and his police cruiser not getting along with each other.
I'm only here because I won that stupid lottery.
No way. You passed the entry test just like everybody else, okay?
Jefferson wants Miles to succeed, but he wants him to succeed in his own way. We see how much Jefferson dislikes and disapproves of the things or people that Miles is into. In particular, we see how much he dislikes Spider-Man, so when Miles has the opportunity to call him and tell him what's going on with him, he hangs up the phone seconds after calling because he knows exactly what his father would say to him in the situation he's currently in. It's only after his brother Aaron dies that he sees the things he's done to Miles and his relationship with him, and so he apologizes to him. He doesn't want to make the same mistake with his son that he made with his brother, and that's slowly drifting apart from each other. It's excellent writing and amazing character development because it shows the growth and difference between Jefferson now than who he was in the beginning of the movie. Later in the movie, he even encourages Miles to get back up and stop Kingpin.
Get up, Spider-Man.
Which shows that he's changed as a character and his opinion about Spider-Man. It's what makes him one of the best developed characters in the animated universe. Gwen Stacy. Similar to every Spider-Man in the multiverse, she was bit by a radioactive spider and became a superhero. She also lost someone close to her as well. She lost her version of Peter Parker, her best friend. This led Gwen to becoming a very isolated person, not having or making any friends and doing everything alone. It's why when she's with Miles, she's hesitant to become close with him because the possibility of losing another close friend would be too much for her. But throughout the film, she learns how to open herself up to other people, and it's okay for her to have friends. Miles helps her realize that, and that she's also not alone because she has him and other Spider-Men, women, and Pig in the multiverse. And now the last but most important supporting character, Peter B. Parker. Peter B. Parker is an older, more experienced Spider-Man and has been Spider-Man for over 22 years. Peter is arguably the most developed character in this movie while not even being the main character. He's tired,
Well, I am tired.
stressed, and burnt out from being Spider-Man for such a long time. He's lost Aunt May, divorced Mary Jane, and is in the worst shape he's ever been in his life. This movie shows the effect of what being Spider-Man has done to him when he gets transported to Miles' universe, and Miles wants him to teach him how to be Spider-Man, but Peter is uninterested.
Look, I'm not looking for a side gig as a Spider-Man coach.
Peter even stops Miles from finishing Uncle Ben's quote,
Great power comes
Don't
great...
you dare finish that sentence. Don't do it. I'm sick of it.
because he's sick and tired of being Spider-Man. He doesn't care about Miles or the responsibility that's been recently put on him. It's until later in the scene when Miles tries to guilt trip him, he realizes that people need saving and there needs to be a Spider-Man for this world. So he changes his mind and decides to train him. While Peter is training Miles, he slowly finds enjoyment in teaching him how to be Spider-Man. He's even proud of him when he comes into his own as Spider-Man at the end of the movie.
I love you. I am so proud of you. Struggle with kids?
This helped him change his perspective on having kids with MJ. Peter's relationship with Miles, in my opinion, is the best relationship in the animated universe. Both Miles and Peter need each other. Miles needs someone to teach him how to be Spider-Man, and Peter needs someone to help remind him that you still have a second chance in life. You just have to take a
Leap of faith.
And that's exactly what Peter needed, which helped him improve his life by going back to his world, fixing things with MJ, and finally having a kid. This version of Peter Parker is just an amazing adaptation to the character because we see the growth and change in his attitude as a character in just one movie. It's why he's highly regarded as the best adaptation of Peter Parker outside the comics. Now the main character of this film, Miles Morales. Miles' character arc in this film is one of the most distinct and unique character arcs ever told on the big screen. Miles throughout the film goes through a series of changes and problems on his journey to becoming Spider-Man. One of those changes Miles must go through is him coming out of his comfort zone. We first see Miles at the start of the film singing, drawing, and being himself. He then has to hurry and get ready to go to this new school he doesn't want to go to. Before he arrives at the school, we see Miles interacting with his friends through his neighborhood, old school, and him putting his art stickers everywhere. This opening scene already establishes him being in his comfort zone with his passion for art and his neighborhood. But that comfort is quickly taken away with him having to go to school and his dad taking him there, leaving him in a very uncomfortable position he doesn't want to be in. Not only does Miles not want to go to this new school, but he also has to ride with his dad, who he has a very awkward relationship with. Both Miles and his dad view the world differently from their own point of view. Miles finds comfort in drawing and making his own art, something his dad isn't comfortable with. Miles doesn't think he has a choice in what he wants to do with his life because his dad is trying to control it.
It doesn't feel like I have a choice
You
right now.
don't.
This is why Miles and his Uncle Aaron's relationship is so close. He gets to be Miles and do things his way instead of being forced into doing things he doesn't want to do. In just 10 minutes into the film, we see Miles having a huge problem with pressure and discomfort and does everything in his power to try and avoid it. Every time he gets the slightest feeling of it, he goes to his room or to Uncle Aaron's. This all changes for Miles when he gets his powers and meets Peter. After Peter saves him, Peter tells Miles the exact same thing his dad told him.
I don't think you have a choice, kiddo.
But the difference between them, Peter's willingness to help guide Miles compared to his dad's.
Can help you and show you the ropes.
While injured, Peter tells Miles to complete the mission of destroying the Collider, forcing him to completely leave his comfort zone so he can become the new Spider-Man. Without someone to help guide him, this puts a lot of pressure on the Miles, which puts another problem on his journey to becoming Spider-Man. expectations. In the very first scene of the movie, we see Peter Parker's intro describing his life as Spider-Man, showing everything that happened to him made him the amazing Spider-Man he is today. This intro alone sets the bar high for Miles, because he has to replace him as Spider-Man. He has to somehow find a way to live up to those expectations and fulfill the promise he made to Peter. With the additional expectations from his dad who pushes him because he wants to see him succeed in life, it all overwhelms him to the point it causes him to fail and run away from those expectations. So he decides to visit Peter's grave and tells him how he doesn't think he's the right person for this job.
I'm not sure I'm the guy.
As he's talking to Peter, another one appears from behind. This gives Miles a second chance to fulfill his promise. Even with someone to help guide him, Miles is still struggling to overcome his mental challenges. He now struggles with a new challenge of trying to find his sense of identity. From Peter to now Peter B, Miles is struggling to figure out who he wants to be, or more specifically, which Spider-Man he wants to be. He tries to imitate exactly what Peter does when he first tests his newly found powers, but decides to go to a smaller building because the building was too high for him. He tries to imitate Peter B when they are trying to come up with a plan to infiltrate Alchemax. None of this works out for him because he's trying to be someone he's not. When Miles is looking at Peter's mask and his face doesn't fit into the mask, it's him again trying to be someone he's not. He's trying to be Peter Parker. It's only after his uncle dies and he's trapped in his room that his father comes and tells him what he needed to hear. This gives Miles the literal spark he needed to control his powers and form his own identity, his own Spider-Man. The mask that somehow couldn't fit his face before is now perfect for him. He just had to look at it from a different point of view, his point of view. Arguably the best scene in all Spider-Man movies. When Miles takes his leap of faith, he is not only rising up as his own Spider-Man, but it also shows us that he finally overcame all the mental challenges he had to face to become his own Spider-Man. He finally learned how to get out of his comfort zone by jumping off an even taller building than the one before. He exceeded all the expectations of the people around him, and he formed his own identity instead of trying to imitate someone else's. This ties directly into the theme of the entire movie and even his video game, which is to just be yourself. You don't have to be anyone else or even feel the need to be. You can be inspired by them and turn something they created into something new. Something that's true to who you are as a person while still carrying on their legacy. It's what Miles represents as a character and what makes him such a different and unique Spider-Man. It shows us one of the reasons why co-creator Stan Lee created Spider-Man and the reason why he's such an inspiration to a lot of people.
One of the greatest things about Spider-Man's outfit, he is completely covered. Any kid could imagine he's Spider-Man because no color of the skin shows. He could be black under that. He could be red. He could be yellow. He could belong to any race. That wasn't done purposely. It was done accidentally. But I think it was the best thing we did, making him so that he could be anybody under that costume.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the next video.